we are heading into our most coveted hunting week of the year, which is Rut Week. And lo and behold, I go in there and I get right in front of a mature buck, right on a doe. May the hunting be good, the bucks be horny, and the arrow fly true. And so will I. Let's go, baby. Knock him down. Tag and Brag Nation, thank you for following along on this after the chase journey as far as you have. We've been to North Dakota twice. We've been through Scrape Week. We watched Pops knock down his best buck ever with a bow. And now we are heading into what has been our most anticipated and our most coveted hunting week of the year, which is Rut Week. It's funny because everybody always asks, what are you doing for the rut this year? Where are you going? Kansas, Illinois, Iowa, where's it gonna be? And for us, it's pretty simple. Like, we know every year what we're gonna be doing for the heart of the rut, and that is going back to our property in New York, where we all grew up hunting, learning how to bow hunt, learning how to film, getting ourselves to where we are today, and we're going to enjoy it together. It's really not about killing big deer, although that is the goal. At the end of the day, we all want to tag something, especially during that week when we're all in camp together. But there's far more value in Rut Week than just killing a big deer. It's more about the camaraderie, the people that we're in camp with, enjoying the hard work that we put in, and especially that Dean puts in throughout the summertime on the land that we have up there, enjoying the land that has evolved from 40 acres when we were like little and growing up to now over 200 acres, and just experiencing the hardwoods of Western New York. It can be some very, very intense rut activity. Some of my most memorable rut hunts have come from this woods, from this hill. And so getting back to our roots and just having a clean slate, a new week set up in camp with everyone, the anticipation is always through the roof this time of year, and especially going into this week. Obviously, we're going to be hunting a majority of the day. We're going to be putting in long hours in the tree. We're going to be enjoying dinners together. We're going to be sleeping very little. And all the while, we're documenting this whole thing for you guys so that you guys can enjoy it with us. And that's probably the biggest trophy that comes out of this week, and that really comes out of every single season that we put in here at Tag and Brag. So my dad shot a buck that we called Kevin the week prior to Rut Week during Scrape Week. And we have killed, in the last 2 years, we've killed 4 different bucks during Rut Week, which Dean killed Neil 2 years ago. Uncle Jay killed Gary Clark Jr. the same year. And then last year, I killed Cartman. Uncle Jay killed Jamario. So the past couple Rut Weeks have been extremely exciting, not only from a camaraderie standpoint, but we obviously had multiple things to celebrate. The anticipation is high. Dad's already got a tag filled, and we're coming into camp. Energies are through the roof, and we are so excited to be here with each other and look forward to a great week of hunting together. The official first day of Rut Week. We all elected to sleep in and rejuvenate the energies, which was a great decision. The energies are flowing right now here at camp, and we're all packing sangies, and we're going to our different spots for the rest of the day. It is dead still here at camp. Dead still. It's never dead still at camp. Never. Something feels good. Something feels right. You going in?
Yeah, I'm going in, all right. Going in town to the grocery store. It'd be a lot easier to hit record if you were there with me to remind me.
Took my camera spot out.
No, I'll bring the saddle. You can saddle it.
Sit on your lap.
This is a crew right here. A crew.
Rally cabs.
Holy hell. If we can't shoot something with all these people, then
Got issues. We got issues. We got problems. We got issues even if we can shoot something.
just Rut Week inaugural ceremonial prayer.
Lead us off, Captain Kevin. Sorry, Mr. Danko.
Rut Week 2023. What a great group. Blessed to be here. Blessed to be here with all of you. Looking forward to a good, safe hunt.
May the hunting be good, the bucks be horny, and the arrow fly true. And so will I. Let's go, baby. Knock them down. Good luck.
Shoot 'em. Shoot 'em.
All right, boys. Shoot them. Onward.
Go get 'em.
So we get to camp. We got a couple new faces in camp for y'all. We got our buddy Chris Campbell, an Army veteran. Well, he's still in the Army, but he's going to be retiring this year. Thank you, Chris, for your sacrifice and for your services. It is the reason that we get to enjoy hunt camps like this, so that does not go unnoticed. And we got Old Cuzzy and Young Cuzzy in camp. Young Cuzzy, our cousin David. You guys have seen him on some turkey videos. You've seen him in some of our other content. His dad, also David, my dad's cousin. They grew up hunting together. We grew up hunting with him as well. And it's just gonna be a blast to have the 7 of us in camp just doing what we love to do and enjoying the sport of hunting so much. I feel like we're timing it pretty perfect. Like scrape week was on fire up in New York with the bucks really starting to move during daylight hours. The scrapes are popping off like crazy. We've got scrapes all over the property, whether it's on food plots, just on trails, and we are monitoring those with the Moultrie mobiles, and bucks are hitting them constantly. It really seems like we are timing this week up perfectly. The weather is going to be cool, but not too cold to sit all day, and it's not going to be too warm where it should suppress some of the deer movement. So we're just looking forward to a perfect week in camp. Everybody's kind of picking out the spots that they're going to. Uncle Jay's going to his favorite spot that we call the dugout. Dino is going back into a spot that we call Flemish. That's one of his honey holes where he shot Neil last year. I'm actually going up to a new property that we acquired, and I'm sitting on the edge of a cornfield, and we're all just kind of spreading out for the first day. We're going to see what's moving, see what we see. We're all self-filming, and so we're trying to maximize our opportunities early to get a buck hanging on the skinning pole.
We're off. Man, it is calm. I have to creep all the way back in there. That's actually a fresh rub. Still can see the green coming off the tree. That's pretty fresh. Hasn't dried out yet.
Well, you guys, here's an official warm welcome to Rut Week. This is our favorite week of the year, our most coveted and watched week of the year, and we couldn't be happier. We've got a great group in camp. We are all spread out in many different, very good spots. We've had some bucks cruising on camera, specifically overnight. The camera's kind of fired up again, so I am pumped to be in a tree. This is an amazing, amazing spot. It is the newly acquired land that we just acquired this off season, and Dino planted corn, so I'm on the backside of this cornfield. There's a beaver swamp to the east that definitely holds deer and bucks, and this hillside behind me is typically a bedding area. It is so quiet right now. It is so quiet, but I love it because you're going to be able to hear them coming. So we all decided to sleep in today. Got out here about 10 o'clock. We're all sitting
packed Zangies were sitting for the duration of the day. So I'm fired up on an XOP. First time sitting in this spot ever. And God, thank you. Thank you for making me a bow hunter. Thank you for granting us this land up here in Western New York. Thank you for the people that we are surrounded with right now up here at camp at Rut Week. And Lord willing, may the arrow fly true. It's going to be a fantastic week. Like I said, we are pumped that y'all are following along. Sit back, put your seatbelts on, and get some popcorn and your favorite bevy, because we going in on some bucks this week. You heard it here first. Gonna be a good boy.
Well, so day one, we came out firing on all cylinders. I actually had a pretty solid sit up in the corner of this cornfield. I saw a couple decent bucks. I loved the stand setup in an XOP, kind of a double trunk tree. Just felt really good about self-filming up there, keeping everything in front of me. There was a couple scrapes on that field that we were monitoring, and the bucks seemed to be moving in and out of that corn. So I had some high hopes. Uncle Jay, on the other hand, was thrown right into the mix on day one. He literally had a buck that got his nickname Lucky based on this encounter, because Uncle Jay had this deer come in. He's a really nice 2 or 3 year old buck, and the hunt camp boss Dino took him off the hit list. When we got there, young deer, would love to see what he could do if he made it to 4 or just made it one more year. And he was a very local deer. We had a lot of trail camera history with this deer, especially leading up until this point. Uncle Jay went up into his honey hole and literally saw him on the first day ended up giving him the pass, kind of second guessed himself, grunted to him a little bit, literally grunted him right back to the tree and gave him a pass. And that is why the 2 passes got Lucky his nickname for the entire week. So going into day 2, we had some pretty high hopes and high expectations, but the whole day was kind of just blah. There was not much going on. There really wasn't a whole lot moving on trail camera. It might have just been the mild weather or just kind of a break in the storm. And I don't really know what the deal was. The only thing I can think of is it just maybe wasn't cold enough to have these deer really up and moving. It honestly didn't seem like there was a lot of doe moving right then, so naturally the buck movement was suppressed for day 2. But heading into day 3, we're hoping with a little bit of a wind switch and a weather switch up, it's going to get a little bit colder, that these deer will be on our feet. We're going to try some different spots going into day 3. We still have high hopes as we continue through Rut Week to fill a tag here soon.
I'm dipping back down. We're getting a little more aggressive today. We're getting back into hard access spots, and part of the reason for that is we got a gusty wind today, going over 20 miles an hour at a few times, but it's gusty and kind of loud. This is the day to get in deep. So we hung a stand down here a couple of years ago. I was hunting Nipsey, actually missed Nipsey in it on I think my first hunt in there. But this stand is here for probably 1 hunt a year. And a day like today is really gonna be it. You gotta have this perfect wind direction. It's right in my face, getting all the way in there, and it's breezy, so getting in close to the bedding and where some of these bucks like to hang out.
Setting out, that freaking buck came out of the bottom back there and came right to the scrape back here. Hit the scrape. I literally just checked that camera. I just changed the card in that camera. The thing freaking checked the scrape, went down, but oh, there's a deer. Jesus. 2 bucks already right here. I mean, maybe I just need to stay put.
So we changed it up a little bit. Dino went to a little kind of kill plot that we had. I moved all the way to the back side of the property, barely got set up, and I had 2 bucks literally in my lap, one of which we had been getting pictures of very, very far from where I saw him, and he was coming from like the opposite direction that I would have ever expected him to come from. So to me, this told me that, number one, the younger bucks are just up and cruising. They're looking for any and all opportunities that they have or could have at a doe for this time of year. I feel like with the lack of mature buck activity that we've seen, both on the hoof while hunting or on trail camera, it means that these older bucks are just locked down with the does right now. And they may be in the thickets, literally going from doe to doe, because the buck to doe ratio in New York is very skewed, heavily on the side of the females. So there's a lot more doe than there is bucks. And what that can do is create a time throughout the rut where it seems like the older bucks are on lockdown for like a week or maybe weeks at a time. And in reality, they're just in the thickets going from doe to doe to doe because there's less competition for them. And they don't really have to go anywhere to get what they want. That's kind of the phase that I feel like the rut is in right now. And so it seems like with these mature bucks locked in the thickets, the thing to do is try and go hunt as close to the thickets as possible. Use calling techniques, maybe rattling, some light bleats, maybe grunts every once in a while, but really try and get into the bedroom, because where the does are typically right now is where the bucks are going to be, and especially where the mature bucks are going to be. The younger bucks seem like they're running aimlessly, just hoping for a prayer, but the older bucks are the ones that are really doing all the work right now, and they have very little competition while doing it, so they're not moving very far. That's why this time of year it is so important to spend out as many hours in the woods as you can, because it's so unpredictable at when your opportunity is going to arise, when that buck is going to come off a doe and be susceptible to an opportunity or to an arrow of yours. And so it is just so important, as hard as it can be, and especially when it's slow, to spend an ample amount of time in the woods. But that is your best tactic this time of year, is time on stand. So the next morning we go in, Uncle Jay has another encounter with Lucky, that wide 8-point buck, and passes him again. And everybody else had a pretty slow day other than that. So what I was going to do, I sat in the morning, I got out of my stand around, I think like 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I was going to go back for a quick lunch, grab an XOP, and I had an idea of a spot that I wanted to get to in the middle of this thicket, kind of on the edge of one of our bean fields, but in this thicket to where I could kind of get into the bedroom a little bit more, do a hang and hunt. I had a little bit of a windy day, so I was going to do a hang and hunt and just see what I see.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are I'm in the bedroom. I'm in it, trying to get closer to the does, because the does seem like they are MIA. They're in hiding, they're in the thickets. So this is as good of a spot as any, I think. I'm only about 80 yards from our food plot, but it's super thick in here. This is all bedding to my left, and behind me, it's just after 11 o'clock, I think. So we got a solid sit in front of us, which I'm pretty pumped about. One of us is gonna catch up to one of these jokers. One of us is gonna catch up to one. Sit tight for the remainder of the day and see what we can get into. Fired up to be here, that's for sure. There's some shit going on down there. Down by the food plot.
Oh man, talk about a close call. Talk about being so close. You could taste it. The ink was getting filled out on my tag. The tag was getting notched. The venison was on the grill. It was made to order, and my hunch was right. Get close to the bedding area, see what we see. There's does in there. There's got to be mature bucks in there, and lo and behold, I go in there and I get right in front of a mature buck that we have never seen before, right on a doe. He actually ended up leaving her, so I don't know if they were just at the end of breeding or what happened, but he ended up leaving her mid-encounter that I had with him. And, you know, I set up in this spot. I told you, it's a thick bedding area. There's very limited shooting in here, but I just kind of had told myself, like, this is just where you have to be, and hopefully, if it's meant to be, it will be. And it was to an extent, but we just couldn't pull through with actually filling the tag here. But man, what an awesome encounter. You know, you can go back and kind of scratch your head and always think about what if, what I coulda, shoulda, woulda done in the moment. And looking back and watching this over again, like, I don't know if I would have done anything different. He was 43 yards when he was standing under the apple tree when he finally came out of the brush, quartering to me. I'm not going to take that shot. You know, if he cut the distance in half and he was standing at the same angle, I'm comfortable with it. But with the variables and how that animal can move at that distance from an arrow, you know, I wasn't comfortable taking that shot. All the while he was standing there facing me, I thought that there was no way that I wasn't going to get a better opportunity at that moment. Unfortunately, he walks right at me, gets back in the thicket, and I literally have to watch him walk out of my life, like literally in bow range, but out of my life and gone. And I'm just, you know, it was the first shooter that anybody had seen during Rut Week, so I felt good about putting myself in a position for that. But man, when you know that those opportunities are so few and far between, when one of those slips through your fingertips, it is such a gut punch in the moment. Honestly, the day was pretty slow for everybody else. It seemed like I was the only one for the last couple days that was seeing, you know, decent deer, besides Uncle Jay having a couple encounters with Lucky. But midway through the afternoon, Cuzzy's got a big old doe coming right down the trail right at him.
Smoked that doe. I just heard her crash probably 35, 40 yards in front of me. Oh, that felt good to sling a freaking arrow. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord.
You know, this point in the week, it always gets a little nerve-wracking, especially when you don't have a tag filled. But Cuzzy getting one on the board just felt good. It felt like we had something to celebrate, because we did. And I had an encounter with that shooter the same day, so it just felt like the energy of Rut Week was picking up a little bit. However, still the trail cameras just weren't giving us a whole lot of information. And in fact, maybe they were giving us the information that we needed, where it was like, these mature bucks are on full lockdown mode. And like I said, they're able to stay in the thickets and go from doe to doe to doe. So from my observation, what I'm thinking is, and from a big picture management, we need to shoot some doe off this property. Like, we need to take some doe out of the surrounding areas to create a little bit more competition, so that when push comes to shove and when the rut is really kicking off, we've got opportunities to see more mature deer on their feet, walking around during daylight hours, making scrapes, pursuing what they should be pursuing this time of year. We're kind of at a point of scratching our head a little bit as far as the rest of the week goes. Don't really know what the plan should be or could be, although we do have a wind switch that's coming in. It's supposed to get a little bit colder over the next couple days. That's hopeful as we kind of cruise on through this part of rut week, and we're switching things up a little bit. Dean and I are going to go back across the street behind camp, deep in the hardwoods. Once again, this is a spot where over the last couple years, Dean shot Neil, I shot Cartman, and the days prior to us both shooting those deer were a little bit slower, and it was just that one day where there was a hot doe in the area and things kind of blew up. So we're hoping that is what's going to happen leading up until the last couple days of rut week. We're going into day 5. Dino and I are headed back into the hardwoods, and we're hopeful that one of us is going to fill a buck tag here soon.
It is November 8th, 5th day this year of rut week. My goodness, does it feel good to get back in here. We call this the Flemish, and this spot specifically is Amen Corner. And we've never hunted this spot before. Dean and I just put it up this summer. We actually, a couple years ago, hung in a big pine like 40 yards from here, and before we could even hunt it, a tree fell, literally smashed the entire stand. So we moved it to over here, and I actually like this a little bit better because you have a better view. There's a tractor trail coming right behind me. We have a little kill plot, probably like a third of an acre kill plot, a couple hundred yards that way, and it's bedding all behind me. Bottom swamp. Out in front of me is the cruising zone, I like to call it. The cruising zone. This is where your bucks and your does will run aimlessly, chasing each other, getting ready to mate. Dean is a couple hundred yards through the woods that way. He's in the main Flemish spot, actually. The spot where 1 year ago today, I killed Cartman. That was an insane hunt. Yeah, I can feel that breeze hitting me in the back of the neck. All right. I saw horns. I saw a cruiser. Seen more bucks this first hour and a half than I've seen all week.
So we got back into the hardwoods, and it seemed like there was a lot of bucks moving that day, but it was all smaller buck movement. Kind of the same things that we've been seeing throughout the week is a lot of younger bucks just kind of cruising aimlessly, literally throughout all hours of the day, just looking and praying for their opportunity to capitalize, maybe on their first rut, maybe on their second rut. But either way, it was a lot of younger deer that were on the move. The mature deer were just MIA. And it was honestly, it really was. It was getting frustrating. We were putting a lot of hours in the woods. I mean, you're sitting sun up to sundown, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row. That's taxing on you, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. We're filming everything. We're trying to document it all. We want it to be exciting, but we're just not getting the opportunities that we're looking for. And the whole week just kind of felt weird. It was like the weather was mild. Like it wasn't so cold where you felt like a cold front was rolling through and that was going to really snap the deer into it or out of it, whatever the case may be. But it wasn't like warm enough to suppress the deer movement. So it was just kind of a head scratcher as to be like, where are these deer and why are they not moving? And honestly, throughout the week, like even the doe activity was few and far between, almost more kind of dictating that the theory of these deer just hunkered down in the thickets and not moving very far had to be true, because we just weren't. It almost felt like at certain points of the week, like the deer numbers were down, and they're definitely not. So it was definitely a head scratcher, but it was kind of a good representation of how our entire season had gone up until that point. It was like, we could get very, very close, but we just couldn't figure out how to seal the deal. Even though the week kind of felt deflating, it felt like we had an opportunity or two slip through our fingertips. It felt like we gave up an opportunity or 3 or 4 as we let a lot of deer go. This week is really about the time in camp spent with the people that got Dean and I going for sure, and just the people that we love hunting with the most. And it's a week that we set on the calendar, the day that we leave camp during rut week. We've got the next year's rut week already in mind, already planning. What are we going to do? Who's going to be there? And so the time in camp with all of us and the camaraderie is really what this week is all about. It's the foundation of why we love to hunt, is the people that we get to share it with and the people that have passed it on to us. And now it's our responsibility to pass this tradition on to other people, whether it's our kids, family members, friends, or you guys. And we hold that very near and dear to our heart. We feel a high responsibility with passing this on. And this rut week kind of regrounds us. It brings us back to our roots, and it shows us the real reasons why we're doing this to begin with. And so maybe we only had one doe tag filled throughout rut week, but we had a heck of a lot of laughs. We had some hardships. We hunted our butts off, and it was just fantastic to be in camp once again, and super grateful to be in camp once again with the whole crew. We sign off from rut week a little bit deflated, but very grateful for the time well spent. We are moving on to the late season, and we can't wait to be right back here in the saddle on the hill for rut week in 2024.